look, Broccoli Guy was framed, okay?
Broccoli Guy.
I don't know why he's trying to get Broccoli Guy. It's not gonna happen.
I love show and tell. I wish every time we did a Just Played episode, we could have some kind of fun toy visual component.
I'm rarely this excited to just start talking. I'm so pumped.
So were you pumped about Skylanders before? Have you ever been quote unquote pumped about
Absolutely.
Skylanders, Kyle?
Yeah. I remember the first Skylanders. Do you remember the outcry of look what they did to Spyro? That was huge. You know what I mean? I was never really into that because I mean, look what they did to Spyro was worse before Skylanders. But I always really love the idea of toys that come into the game and then they exist, and Skylanders pulls it off. I've never played one since that first one. But I love everything I'm seeing right here, Brandon.
So I didn't play the first or second Skylanders. We had Skylanders and then Giants, and they made the characters a lot bigger.
Yeah.
And that was the first taste that parents had as consumers of, okay, these are Giants. So if you have the old Skylanders that they have, those are still compatible, but you're going to need some Giants if you want to get into this game. And then last year, they had Swap Force.
Yeah.
And last year, Disney Infinity came out, which I became obsessed with. And so I was like, oh, I'll give Skylanders a try, because I'm like, kind of into this genre now of filling up as much of my game space as I possibly can with plastic figures. And played Trap Team and loved it. And the gimmick there was that you could swap the tops and bottoms of characters.
Yeah, Swap Force, I'm not into that gimmick. I gotta say, that one bugs me.
It was fun. It was fun from a gameplay perspective because the tops and bottoms had legitimate gameplay styles.
Yep.
So if you liked a certain weapon that one character had, but you liked the movement another character had, for example, one guy was an owl that could teleport. So you'd hit a button and then move a little purple circle to any place on the battlefield, and when you would let go, he would teleport over to that area. And then, so whatever top you like, whether it's like a guy with hammers or a guy with, boomerangs or whatever, you could put it on top of that teleporting bottom.
I'm not for it. Can I tell you why? Can I tell you why I'm not for that?
Bring it, Kyle.
Each of these characters are distinct.
Yeah.
And that teleporting owl is that teleporting owl. And then
Right.
suddenly when you just mix his body up with someone else's body,
this was a terrible thing that happened to these characters, Kyle. They're making the best of it. You know what I mean? Like
they didn't choose to be swapped.
Like if I showed up one day and you and Huber decided to swap tops and bottoms just to try to see how that could change your work dynamic, I would applaud you for that. I would say, wow, I would think somebody that would be stuck with that predicament that was not connected to their legs.
The
or
things
didn't
I
have
could
to
do
be.
with Huber's bottom. We should talk about Trap Team. We should talk about this game.
So this game was really fun. I played it a little bit over the weekend. This came out this past Sunday, so the thing that they do now is you can trap the bosses in with one of these crystals, and Skylanders always works on elements. So you have all the different colors except for Mr. Chaos in the back here are all specific elements, and all the figures have a specific element, and all the bosses have a specific element. When you defeat a boss in the game, you take one of these traps and you put it on the base, and then you capture that boss. And then anytime you put the trap back in the base, you can summon that boss into gameplay.
And that becomes your character. It's not like it's like an AI. It's like you become that boss.
Right.
Right.
So the bonus is, if you guys can check this out at home, you have all of these different bosses that you can be, which adds, without the expense of Activision, paying for all of these new figures, they can just have this guy, and this guy gives you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 new characters that you can add to the game and play
This
as.
key.
Yeah. And exactly, traps don't make that sound. They need to put the disclaimer at the bottom now. You can't just add sound effects.
There's a speaker here.
The speaker is my favorite thing about the entire process. So when you put them on the base, they have a great sound effect vibe whenever you bring characters in and out of the game, where you'll hear them on screen and they'll go to that speaker, or vice versa, where they'll start on the speaker like, here I go, and then they'll zap up to your television. But what's hilarious is that they also talk the whole time you're playing. So when you hit L2, I believe, when you hit the left trigger, you bring them into battle, which is cool because you don't have to reach over and take one guy off and put another guy on. If you have one of these villains that you like, you can just zap them in anytime. And they're on a cooldown, so you can only bring them out for a minute.
Cool.
And then you have to build that meter back up. But while you're running around, the villain will comment on what you're doing. So if you get a treasure, he'll be like, yay. Or if you go into an area or you're about to fight a boss. One guy who I laughed at when I initially saw the list, Broccoli Guy, is hilarious. And I made sure that you sampled a little bit of Broccoli Guy before we started.
Sounds lazy. Sounds like, oh, Broccoli Guy, they're out of ideas. Not even close.
It was like the best idea they had.
Yeah.
And the game actually has a lot of really great self-referential humor. Like I had one boss that was mad at himself because he's like, all I've been doing is just incrementally increasing the difficulty. He's like, that's not going to win me this battle. So like the game kind of knows it's in its 4th year. It knows that like these characters are very bizarre and out there, that there's not, there definitely is a style to Skylanders, but I really think that they just kind of spitball at their creative meetings of just like, what's the craziest thing that we can come up with? And that's, I mean, like a baby T-Rex with a helicopter on his back.
Brandon, their names. Trolling Thunder, Chill Bill, Sheep Creep. They're such good names.
Sheep Creep's pretty great.
I feel like if you love like G.I. Joe, do you know what I mean? If you love what Ninja Turtles was and
Garbage Pail Kids.
Right.
I mean, this definitely has a lot more class than Garbage Pail Kids, but it just kind of reminds me of the same kind of creativity.
Yeah, I think you have to open your mind to what Skylanders is actually doing, and which is like it's not all. The idea, I think, the feeling you get from looking at Skylanders is just like, oh, Activision, toys, money, just trying to, and like there's love in Skylanders is the thing.
They're just fun. It's like a very exuberant game. It's very quick to run in. It's very different from Infinity because Infinity is like this big world and there's all these things going on, and Skylanders is like, let's go to this world, let's fight this boss. Okay, moving on, let's do this. And just like Diablo, you can go back to those areas if you want to like unlock things or fight bosses again or level up your characters more.
Right, I just bought this guy and I want to level him up, so I just take him in.
And they have like an arena now, which I don't know if they had in previous games. So the main hub area is called like the Skylanders Academy, and there's something you can go to that I think is like a little challenge area. So if you're sick of doing the story missions, you literally just want to level these guys up or like use their new abilities or test out villains. Villains don't level, I don't think. When I had a villain out, the guy that was on the base leveled up. Like the villain was fighting somebody and got experience, and that leveled up the guy who was on the base.
When you went to Broccoli Guy's stat page, it was just flat.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't think the villains have levels, but there are a ton of these guys, which brings me to what you should buy. So
the
like
educational portion of this just played.
So there's, it's always the question, for parents to like, not only like, do I get my kid, Infinity or do I get him Skylanders? If you're gonna get Skylanders, what you get is the guys that we had on the base here. So you get Food Fight here, and you get Snapshot because he's a crocodile.
Great.
And
Yeah. The names are so good. They're so good.
So you get Snapshot and Food Fight, and you get 2 of these things. I think you get water and something else, maybe like wind or fire or something. But you get 2 of these. I think it might actually be these 2. You get 2 crystals, the traps. And then there's also these other characters. So these guys are trap masters, the guys that have the big plastic shields or weaponry, and they need those, don't you know, to fight to smash the traptanium that you collect to like use to So whenever you see like big crystal things or like certain barriers, only the trap masters can go past them. So,
that's where the money does come into the design. That's where it's like
right, and so you're going to encounter. So with just this guy, he doesn't. You have all these other elements and all these other barriers you're going to run into. Obviously, this is the guy's fire, this guy's water, this guy's tech.
So I can only trap a tech with Tech Trap Master.
No, you can only access tech stuff. They have like tech barriers where they're like only a Tech Trap Master can go through through the zone. Any boss that you can fight, you can basically go through the whole game with just this guy.
Cool.
But if you want to trap a shadow guy or a fire guy, you need one of these other traps.
Yeah.
So in order, as far as the tier of necessity.
Priorities.
If you obviously need to get the starter pack, you get these 2 guys, you get 2 traps. I would recommend to parents to get at least one of these other guys. If you want to make your kid happy, give them one other thing that they'll have that maybe their friends won't have, some other cool figure that their friends can like swap these out, that like, okay, just give me your Gusto and I'll go home tonight, I'll unlock all the Gusto stuff and I'll bring that back in and you give me, your fire something, I can't remember, Wildfire I think is his name.
Gold Lion with a huge shield. They're cool. The Trap Masters are cool.
They're cool, and there's a ton of these characters. So I would recommend getting one of these other guys at the very least, so your kid can be like, yeah, I have that one extra thing. I would skip these guys. These guys I would put on the 3rd tier. I think these guys are the 2nd most important thing. So if you want to make a kid happy past that, you just looked it up. I think it was like $15-16 for 3 of these.
$16 for 3 trap keys.
Okay. And they also sell them individually. I mean, I got them individually packaged when they sent them to me.
Yeah, because they're like individual designs even.
So I'm guessing, maybe like $5-6 individually for these, which seems a lot because you're like, I'm just getting this thing. What is this?
Don't buy a lot of these. Don't buy more of the same one.
Don't buy more of the same element. Yeah. Just get different elements. And like I said, there's like 6 characters that your kid will be able to play as with each one of these things. And like I mentioned, they're hilarious when you put them on the board. Like you will actually even laugh at those. Like you will enjoy playing this with your kid because the writing, like I said, is very self-referential. Like it is a fun kids game. It's very easy to play. These guys just are unlock themselves. They don't really unlock anything else, any special content or anything. It's just those characters. If you want to have more of them, and they have every time they release a new version of Skylanders, they come out with a whole wave of just Skylanders, like not the Trap Team people, not the Swap Force people, not the Giants, but just the regular Skylanders.
I mean, here's the thing though. This is a T-Rex with robot legs and a propeller backpack.
Right.
It's hard to say no to that.
It's hard to say no to a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
But again, so these are necessary, but they're not as necessary as the Trap characters, which I feel are not necessary as having at least another one of these guys. So to sum up, get the starter pack, get one of these guys, Trap Masters. Look for Trap Master on the actual thing, or look for like a giant weapon that is made out of clear plastic. Get a couple of these guys, and then if you want to go overboard, get it that aren't in it. So don't get the look in the starter pack. You can see them in the plastic. I believe it's green and blue. Grab a couple of these extra guys, and then if you know your kid just likes any one of these styles or picks one of those out, then maybe you can get these guys. But at the very least, I would recommend getting those.
That's very informative.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
You saved the holidays.
It's not cheap. That's already
Yeah.
you're already getting up to about $100 getting those things, but. It is a fun gameplay experience. It did make me laugh. I did crack up. I played with my wife. She enjoyed it. And I appreciate you coming on. Otherwise, nobody would talk to me about this.
Look at these toys, man. Look at these toys. No problem.
And of course, Chaos is totally separate. You need to get Chaos just by himself.
The final boss of the game, correct?
Curious if these are just going to like fly off the shelves. The Chaos figures.
I don't know. Who wants to be the bald, complainy guy? Like, I don't like.
Who knows what he does? I don't know. We'll see. We'll come back and do a just played just on Chaos.
Oh, sure.
Just played Chaos.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kyle.
Cool.
Fortunately, an elite team of Skylanders, wielding legendary weapons, was called upon to track down these villains and bring them to justice. They were the Trap Team.